Of course, it feels really humbled. I am also. It also brings a lot of responsibility, as it is very famously said in Spider-Man, with the powers, with the great powers get a great responsibility. So uh, I don't think I have great powers, but I feel that um, the faith which people kind of puts on me in regards to um, how um, I feel as if I'm a very small um, person in a big world of art, and I would do everything in my capacity um, to contribute in a way that it does not only enriches me or people who um, are in that process, but also people who kind of view it and people who have got access to whatever we do. It touches them even if it touches them in a very little way, I will be more than happy. This is a conversation we had over there as well. That what is contemporary dance, um, and how one can view it. Um, this is purely my opinion and interpretation. Is that contemporary is something which is now. Um, one will have a vocabulary to work on. For me, my vocabulary is Kathak and folk dances of India. That is my grammar. So I use my grammar to tell the stories which I'm interested in. Tell the stories um, of a body moving, um, and that will be different from someone who is equally trained in Kathak and would want to say something else because the way one's body move is different from each other. So, and that also makes it contemporary because it is um, what I'm carrying is the history within my body, uh, but I live in this today's world. So that will be different from someone who is carrying history, which is say um, 16 years old uh, body or someone who is 60 years old body. So each one will have their own interpretation, but with the current uh, situation, and that's what it makes it contemporary. So I think when you force uh, the um, desire to make the work contemporary, if you're forcing something, it is not going to kind of resonate because then you are trying overly hard to kind of fit into certain mold. But if you be what you are, then it is easier for people to kind of understand where you are coming from. And that is purely from my experience. I I I had this company when I was in back in India as well, Pagraph, and but that company at that time was looking at folk dance and kind of how to merge folk dance with the Indian classical music. That was our thing, if you want to kind of say it. And when I moved here and I started the class, started the company here, uh, for me it was very important to uh, talk about where I'm coming from. For me, it was very important to kind of uh, pass the knowledge, whichever I have, whatever knowledge, little more, whatever it is, what I've kind of um, collected over the years to kind of pass it on. Um, I also was and am very interested in providing the pathways to the next generation of artists. I have been extremely lucky to come from a family who uh, actually encouraged me. In fact, I wanted to become a doctor, and they actually encouraged me to go into arts. So it is very unusual for an Indian uh, context. So in that sense, I feel that I would want to provide that kind of infrastructure to the next generation of artists. I also feel that the rigor which Kathak has, or any Indian classical art form has, uh, I hope that through my work, I'm able to again provide the resources and infrastructure which is equivalent to a ballet, because it is, I see no difference in the kind of training one receives in comparison to what you get in ballet. So yeah, I really hope those kind of things I'm able to provide. When someone comes to you and say that uh, that they have been inspired to take up dance full time, or they feel that the resources which Pagrev is providing is helping them to kind of take up dance a little bit more seriously, that itself is such a rewarding feedback to receive. So yeah, I think um, it is to kind of stand your own grounds uh, in a different world, but not stand out like a sore thumb, but kind of merge with whatever the environment is, but still kind of being true to what you are and where you are coming from, is something which I am interested in. So I don't claim to do a contemporary dance because I'm not trained in it. And but the treatment and the approach, as I said to you, is very much contemporary because I'm a woman of this generation. So coming to Khoj, it is a collaboration between myself and Hitin Patel. He is the visual artist, a filmmaker. Um, and who is very much interested in identity. I have worked with Hiting before in our previous work called Deva, which was an outdoor piece. And since then, the um, idea of identity has been intriguing for me. I look at my kids, and their idea of identity keeps on evolving as they are growing up and with the surroundings they are. And that kind of makes me um, want to explore this subject. So the subject of Coach, which is a quest, is an internal quest about uh, trying to answer a question: Who am I? Uh, who am I as someone with the color of the skin I have? Who am I as the gender which I hold? And if it is different from what I hold, how is it different? Who am I as um, someone when I kind of introduce myself as I'm an Indian classical dancer? What is the perception of people when I kind of say that? Who am I as uh, as an individual in a big crowd? Um, so trying to uh, investigate these questions um, through this vocabulary of Kathak, but um, which is very contemporary, which is kind of a departure from the traditional Kathak. Um, the piece is performed by 12 dancers, um, and we want to kind of use costumes and set in a way that it kind of works much larger than life. We have finished our um, two sets of R&D. We are going to the first creation phase in June, this June, and then we'll be kind of going into a further creation phase, and which will be premiering next summer. Uh, and we have a great partnerships with Saddle as well, Lowry Theatre. Uh, and yeah, we also hope to present it in Milton Keynes, where I'm based, as a part of the 60th celebration. So yeah, these are the intentions I have with the piece. So I cannot talk about others, I can talk about myself. For me, as I said, my body knows the grammar of Kathak. And because I am not trained in any other uh, art form, I would not uh, want to claim to um, move in that manner. So for me, my intention is, what can I do to the art form which represents what truly I am? Um, I love watching shows. I love watching different kind of dance forms. I love reading. I love uh, watching a beautiful uh, painting. All of that information which I am collecting as a human being, as an artist, how can I interpret with the movement, with the grammar which I have with me? Um, and it is definitely going to be different from the traditional format, because in traditional format, you are talking about god and goddesses, you're talking about mythological stories, you're talking about the 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 technical nritya part, which is the pure technical part, and I love all of that. But i i'm I am very spiritual, but I'm not very religious person. So if I'm passing on that uh, information, what is it that within that story which I want to pass on? And if it is not the traditional format of the story, it is going to be new. So how can I use my grammar to make new sentences, make sentences which, like, if you think, if in a very simple way, if I can explain that, when I was in India, I'm from Gujarat. So when I'm talking, I'm thinking in Gujarati. Right? I moved here. Even now, when I'm speaking to someone who is from Gujarat, or I know that they understand Gujarati or Hindi, my mind will start thinking in that vocabulary. So what sentences which I'll make while I'm speaking would be Gujalish or English set of things, so Gujarati and English together, Hindi and English together. But when I'm speaking with someone whom I know that they don't understand my language, I'll be very conscious of using the correct articulation of my grammar, and I'll start thinking in English. I'll start thinking in that language. Um, and then the sentences which will come out will be much more refined, but still will have a hint of where I'm coming from. It's the same thing with the movement for me. It's the same thing for me when I am developing a movement, that I cannot be untrue to the grammar of Kathak, but I can try to make it in a way that even if people don't know Kathak or understand Kathak, they don't feel alienated from that, and they feel connected to what they are they are viewing. So yeah, that is where I'm coming from, and that is my intention. And I think for me to grow, this is very important, because if I'm not able to make a viewer understand where what I want to say, what is the point of doing what I'm doing? The company works on several different levels. Um, the base level is the teaching in the community. So we have regular classes where kids from 4 to above, the top most at the moment I have is around 60 years. Um, and all of them kind of come on a regular basis. It's like a regular classes, and they learn the traditional form of Kathak. Um, they also do a biannual showcases, and they get performance opportunities wherever and if there is any. Um, then we have a artist development strand, where we have a youth company, which is led by one of our senior associate artists. Parvati Chaudhary, and she kind of take a lead on uh, developing new work with students between age 11 and 18. It's an open call. Anyone from Pagrav, outside Pagrav, can apply for it, and they are selected through audition, and they do several performances from spring to summer. Then we also have a pre-professional group. We are calling it NAT, which is led by myself. It's a group of people who love dance, want to perform, but they don't want to take up dance full time. So that is an opportunity for them. We try to provide them with different opportunities for them to go and perform. And then there is a professional development. So far, we used to run a program called Oxygen, where we were trying to bridge a gap for someone who makes a decision to become a full time dancer, to how we can make a bespoke offering to each individual to help them to kind of take up dance full time. And now we have launched something called Oxygen 2.0, where we are doing a co-producing for these artists. So they pitch an idea to us, and we hold their hands from their concept to the premiere, and then let them fly in that direction. We also run outreach work, and we are actually today launching a big gift project for our arts and health project called Kathak. It's a movement based workshops which we provide to people living with and beyond cancer, and the carers of these people. We are also hoping to enroll this program further down to Parkinson's and people with the mental health problem. And that is something which is quite dear to me, because it's a program. We have just had a pilot, and the kind of feedback we get from the participants is just completely overwhelming. And then we have a strand where we are creating a groundbreaking work. We hope that it is a groundbreaking work. And Khoj is one of them. We have got work which kind of we presented indoors, outdoors, in festivals, and that is the work which kind of tours nationally and internationally. So it's a kind of a web of things which we do with the company. I think it is very important to, and that is what I have been always taught by my guru, that keep your eyes open. My dad also used to play this game where he would change certain things when we come back from home, and we have to just spot the difference. And it is just kind of enhancing your observation. My mom kind of introduced me to, she's an artist herself, so she introduced me to music, and she introduced me to she used to take me everywhere with her. And because of all of that, I feel that it is very important to observe and get soaked in with the surroundings and the culture you are present in, and then you can make your own decision. You don't have to be like them. So if I see a contemporary dance, I don't have to dance like them. If I see a contemporary painting, I don't have to paint like them. And by the way, I'm a very bad painter. But if I have been given an opportunity to do something, I can take those inspirations from there. So we run we as a part of our biannual showcase. Last year was our 20th celebration of the company. So we had launched a program where we had presented few of our archive work and presented it to the younger audiences. So this youth company, Arohi, what we call them, and it was not just limited to them, but all the youths between 11 to 18 have to view those work, and they can pitch a work to us, which has inspired them to create something of their own. and they have to choreograph that on the professional dancers. That was, we were calling it heritage in motion. And it was so interesting because they they were given a copy of the work. They were given access to um, the video. They were given access to music, and they had to find an inspiration. And if there is any, the kind of inspiration they got and the work they created was completely miles apart. But you can, and they had a very great rationale of why. For example, uh, I I had created a work called Kabir and I, and it was about my relationship with uh, the poems of Kabir, and how it gave me solace in my very difficult times when my grandmother passed away. That was the uh, premises of that piece. Taking the inspiration from that, one of the girl had created a work where she finds a solace between two friends who are going through a very difficult time. One has lost their parents and one has lost their love. Um, and they're meeting in a therapy and how they kind of help each other. So it was very interesting for me to see how they can connect to the work, but create their own work. Um, Again, from the same example, one of the senior dancers, uh, an associate artist, she created a work which related to her grandmother, but it was about the uh, um, freedom fight and how she connects herself through her motherland. So it was very interesting for me to see, and very affirming, giving the answer you are asking about the cross culture, that how one can find an inspiration and can create their own. And as I was saying, their grammar is Kathak. What they are viewing is loosely based on Kathak, and then how they are kind of taking it forward is something very, very interesting for me to see. And I think it is very important for artists to be open to the surroundings and take inspiration from everything. Uh, like even I love to watch people moving when I'm sitting in a train. I just watch them. I'm not on the phone. I watch people around and kind of get my movements inspirations from them. So that cross culture happens immediately. So there is not an intention that, oh, now I'm going to mix Kathak with hip hop. No, it is not that intention. But if someone movement I have found which can probably resonates with hip hop or resonates with the way other bodies moving, then yeah, it's a cross culture for me. Several times, especially when we the piece which we have toured very heavily, Katam Kati, it's about kite flying, and I have made it a piece which talks about a lot of things. It talks about the kite flying as a festival. It talks about the friendship. It talks about the social hierarchy we have in society. That how one gets upper hand if they are trying to fly their kite, which is a metaphor, of course. If they are at the higher ladder than someone who is kind of trying to fly their kite when they are on the ground. Um, it was purely inspired from my observation of the festival back in India. And we have had all sorts of responses for this piece. Um, People, some of them have seen the set design as the borders. Some people have seen set design as the restrictions. Some people have seen just the pure fun side of the festival. Um, yeah, it is very interesting what they can kind of take in from that. Even with my last work, Ru, um, I have used a Sangam poetry. I'm not a Tamilian. I don't come from that So I don't understand that language, but of course, I took time to understand that. So the first reaction I got from anyone who is from a Bharatanatyam background was like, "Oh, why did you work with Sangam poetry?" And I was like, "Why not?" So that kind of um, reaction, and then they say, "Oh, this is a very different interpretation from what we had expected," uh, and they could understand what I'm doing was was something which I really enjoy, kind of getting that kind of feedback from the audience. I think it might be a cliche answer, but for me, genuinely, each project has transformed me into something different. Um, and that is what I love about the process. It has made me aware about myself a little bit different. Um, each interaction I do with my student has made me different. I get the conversations I have with the younger generation has changed me, has transformed me. I would have a very different opinions about a lot of different things in life if I had not had that conversations with the younger generation. So I feel that I'm someone who is hungry to keep on transforming. I'm someone who wants to know about everything and everything around me. I don't get bored uh, about knowing different things. In fact, I don't like to be mundane. I like changes. So for that purposes, I feel uh, I'm very blessed that I have each project has transformed me into something different. Each experience have transformed me into what I am today, and I will not change that. Be honest to yourself. Be honest from where you are coming from. Be honest about what you want to say through your work, and rest will fall in place. Um, keep your uh, eyes open, ears open, mouth closed, and absorb as much as you can, and with the desire to keep evolving.